Hello dear students, welcome to this program. In today's program, we shall be discussing about macro teaching. The main objectives of today's lecture are understand the concept of macro teaching, to know about the characteristics of macro teaching, understand the phases of macro teaching, discuss various steps of macro teaching. First of all, let us discuss what's macro teaching. Macro teaching is simply a teaching in real classroom situation. In real teaching, the classroom is real, students are real, time is larger than the micro teaching, and the teacher teaches with the help of different teaching skills. Macro teaching is a process which usually takes place in classroom situations. The person who transfers his/her knowledge is known as teacher, and the one who receives is known as taught. Its special function is to impart knowledge and skills. It involves sharing, telling and demonstrating information, skill or knowledge which is unknown to observer, hearer or follower. In macro teaching, relationship is established among three focal points in education: the teacher, the student and the subject matter. It is a process by which teacher brings the student and the subject matter together. Macro teaching is not only telling and testing, it is the complex art of guiding students through variety of experiences and activities towards the attainment of goals. Through macro teaching, the teacher aims at number 1, providing opportunities for students to develop a wide range of intellectual and other skills. Number 2, modifying the behavior of the students. 3, changing the attitude of the students. 4, preparing students to respond critically and constructively. 5, developing students' understanding on ethical dimensions of what they say and do. 6, giving some experience of life. After concept, let us discuss the characteristics of macro teaching. The characteristics of macro teaching are: number 1, macro teaching is an interactive process between a teacher and his pupils. It is carried for the attainment of some goals and objectives. Second, macro teaching is a tripolar process, that is, it has three components. These are teacher, pupil, environment. Environment plays an important role. Any teaching learning process which is devoid of environment can't be called good teaching. Then third, macro teaching is a purposeful and goal directed which ends at desired changes of learner's behavior. When the desired goals are fulfilled, teaching is effective. Therefore, the purpose or goal is the pivot around which the entire system of learning and teaching revolves. Fourth, measurement of macro teaching is possible, that is, teachers' behavior can be observed and rated quantitatively. The analysis and assessment may provide essential feedback for bringing desirable improvement in the process of teaching. Now, students, let us discuss the functions of macro teaching. Macro teaching performs three major functions which are: number 1, diagnostic function, number 2, prescriptive function, and number 3, evaluative function. Just as a doctor diagnoses the disease first, then he prescribes the medicines for the cure of the disease, and finally he studies the effects of the drugs on the patients and the treatment if the response of the drugs is not positive. Similarly, a teacher also goes through these processes in the classroom. He diagnoses the learning problems of the student, then he suggests some remedial measures, and finally he evaluates the behavior of the students to know the effectiveness of his measure. Now, first of all, let us discuss what is diagnostic function. The initial task in changing or modifying the behavior of the students is to have proper diagnosis of existing situation. The diagnostic function which the teacher performs are: number 1, diagnosing the entering behavior of the student in terms of cognitive, cognitive and affective abilities. After this, teacher presents the new knowledge to the pupils. Then, formulating specific educational objectives. The type and quality behavioral changes to be introduced in the students in the light of entering behavior and environmental conditions. Then, analysis of the content, method and other facilities available for carrying out the task. It should be decided whether that content is according to pupil's capacity or not. Then, diagnosing his own personalities and capacities and bringing about desirable changes in his own behavior for achieving success in his mission of modifying the behavior of the students. Like teacher, students also performs diagnostic function as number 1, diagnosing strength and weakness of his entering behavior. Second, assessing him in terms of tools of learning like power of expression, ability to think and analyze, emotional behavior, etc. Then, prescriptive function. In remedial function, teacher tries to bring desired changes in the behavior of the pupils. Here the teacher is more active. He has to work for the meaningful interaction. He makes the decision regarding the use of teaching methods, strategies and tactics and mutual relationship, keeping in view the individual differences of the pupils. Cooperation of students is also important for carrying out the prescriptive function by the teacher. After this, students, let us discuss evaluative function. This is the third important aspect of teaching. This function is concerned with the task of finding out the process and outcome of teaching process. Here, the diagnostic and prescriptive aspects of teaching are evaluated. The criterion of evaluation is the achievement of the objectives. If the objectives are achieved, the remedy by the teacher is correct. In case the results are contrary, necessary changes are made in the teaching learning process to get the desired results. Students, after the three functions of teaching or macro teaching, let us discuss the various phases of macro teaching. Macro teaching is a complex task. To make this job easy and successful, a systematic planning is needed. Teaching is to be considered in terms of various steps, and the steps constituting the process are called phases of teaching. Philip W. Jackson thinks that if we are to obtain a complete description of the teaching activity, we must consider what the teacher does before and after the regular teaching in the class. Jackson analyzes the teaching systematically in three phases. These are number 1, pre-active phase of teaching, number 2, interactive phase of teaching, and number 3, post-active phase of teaching. Let us first of all discuss pre-active phase of teaching. Pre-active phase, as the name implies, is concerned with the preparation of teaching before actual classroom teaching, or what Jackson calls calm part of teaching. The teacher has to perform many tasks. These tasks include such as preparing lesson plans, arranging furniture and equipment within classroom, studying test reports, reading sections of a textbook, etc. The phase is therefore called the planning stage. In pre-active stage, various operations or sub-stages are involved. These are number 1, formulating or fixing up the goals. First of all, the teacher formulates the teaching objectives in behavioral terms by using taxonomy of educational objectives. These objectives are of two types. Number 1, in the form of entering behavior of pupils. Number 2, in the form of terminal behavior of pupils. After this, we are having second, that is decision making about the content. After fixing the goals, he has to arrange the sub-contents in a logical sequence in such a way that it should function empirically. Content should be so arranged that it facilitates transfer of learning. Third, decision making about the strategies for teaching. Here, the teacher selects appropriate strategies and tactics, keeping in view the content and level of the pupils, with the help of which the content can be marked on the brain of pupils very easily. Fourth, developing teaching strategies for specific subject matter. Decision making about the teaching methods and strategies for presenting the content is not sufficient, but the teacher is also to decide how and when he will make use of which method and strategy during classroom teaching. Then second, that is interactive phase of teaching. This is actual classroom teaching. It includes all those behaviors and activities which a teacher uses after entering the classroom. The teacher provides pupils verbal stimulation of various kinds, makes explanations, asks questions, listen to students' responses, and provide guidance. The phase includes different operations such as number 1, sizing up of class, number 2, diagnosis of the class, and number 3, action and reaction of achievement. First, what is sizing up of class? As the teacher enters the classroom, he perceives the size of the class and throws his eyes on all the pupils. He locates which faces are discouraging, encouraging, etc. In this way, he tries to size up the class before teaching. Similarly, the students also size up the personality of the teacher in a few seconds. Hence, at this stage, the teacher must look like a teacher first. He should possess all those qualities which are supposed to be present in a good teacher. Then second, diagnosis of learners. The teacher tries to diagnose the level of achievement in his students in 3 areas: A, abilities of the learners, B, interest of the learners, and C, academic background of the learners. This may be done by asking some questions or inquiring about the subject matter. Then third, action and reaction of achievement. This involves the operations or sub-stages such as A, selection and presentation of stimuli. The stimuli in the action or activity of teaching can be verbal or non-verbal. The teacher should be aware of the motive, which is an appropriate stimulus or which is irrelevant stimuli in that particular teaching situation. The teacher should select the appropriate stimulus as soon as the situation arises, and an effort should be made to control the undesired activities to create the situation for desired activities. After selecting the stimuli, the teacher should present them before the pupils. The teacher must know 3 things in presenting the stimuli. Number 1, form, number 2, content, and number 3, order of sequence. Then B, feedback and reinforcement. Feedback and reinforcement increases the probability that a particular response will be repeated in future. In other words, those conditions which increase the possibility of occurrence of a particular response are termed as feedback or reinforcement. These conditions may be of 2 types: positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. What is positive reinforcement? Positive reinforcement are those conditions which increases the probability of reoccurring of desirable response or behavior. Example: praise, appreciation, reward, knowledge of results, etc. And negative reinforcement are those conditions which decrease the probability of reoccurring or undesirable response or behavior. Example: withholding positive reinforcement, saying you should work hard, it is not expected from you, etc. Students, after this we are having another, that is deployment of strategies. At the time of interaction, the teacher produces such activities and conditions by the reinforcement strategies which affect the activities of the pupils. The deployment of the teaching strategies turns the pupil-teacher interaction impressive. The strategies of reinforcing the students and of controlling their verbal and non-verbal behavior are used for imparting the subject content effectively while a teacher teaches in classroom. Then post-active phase of teaching. This phase is also known as evaluative stage. It provides necessary feedback to the teacher and the student in bringing the desirable improvement in their performance. It is related with both teaching and learning. The teacher analyzes as to what extent the students have grasped the material presented to them. The teacher is able to see whether the methods and strategies used by him were successful, and if so, to what extent. It helps the teacher to teach things better in future. It also helps student to learn things better. It helps the teacher to decide whether he should proceed with the new contents or reteach what has already been taught. The main operations at this stage are: number 1, assessing the suitability of objectives determined. Second, decision regarding reteaching of the content or further taking up the content. Third, assessing the suitability of the instructional material and aids. Fourth, assessing the impact of the classroom environment. Dear students, after various phases of teaching, let us discuss the steps of macro teaching. The steps of macro teaching are determined by objectives of teaching. However, the steps generally followed by the teachers in macro teaching are preparation, presentation, comparison and association, generalization, and application. First of all, let us discuss what is preparation. Preparation stage is the basis of any lesson plan. Here the students are prepared for receiving new knowledge. In this step, some questions are asked from the pupils in order to test the previous knowledge of the learner to learn new knowledge. George H. Green says in his book Planning the Lesson, quote, "In the preparation step, the teacher brings well into the pupil's mind the knowledge that will be required as a foundation for the new knowledge to be gained in the course of the lesson. In the preparation step, nothing new is learned, the relevant old knowledge is marshaled and the pupil is made ready to receive the new." Unquote. Second, that is presentation. At this stage, attempts are made to realize the aims of the lesson. The teacher presents the learning material before the students. Throughout his lesson, he takes care of the maxims like proceed from simple to complex, easy to difficult, concrete things first and abstract things afterwards, etc. The teacher makes special efforts so that teaching should not remain just one-sided affair. The pupils are engaged in the lesson, they are kept active, and ultimately the teacher comes out successful in that teaching learning situation. Now third, comparison and association. In this step, the facts, events and applications taught are related by comparison with one already learned. It enables the pupils to understand the taught material. Hence, teachers should establish a relationship between two subjects and also the facts and the events of one subject with those of other subjects. This step is related with the task of strengthening the acquisition of newly learned subject matter. It is based on the assumption that the child grows in knowledge through comparison and association. Accordingly, the teacher is required to compare, contrast and associate every new knowledge acquired by the students with one already with them. Then fourth, generalization. Generalization means arriving at some formula, principle or laws. After explaining the main lesson, the pupils are provided with opportunities to think and encouraged to draw inference from comparison of facts. The teacher should try to remain in the background for providing only necessary guidance and correction. Generalization may be with regard to some definition in grammar, a formula in mathematics, or a rule in science. The more we emphasize on the discovery by students, the more we encourage and develop insight for learning among them, and also we achieve the goal of all educational efforts in a better way. Application. In this step, it is not observed whether the acquired knowledge may be applied to the new situation or not. The laws, formulas arrived in the generalization step are applied to the solution of particular examples in the application step. Thus, application serves the purpose of revision and recapitulation of the matter learned. Thus, we can say that practice recapitulation, previous knowledge testing, and home assignments are always of application. With this, students, we complete our today's discussion. Hope you have enjoyed and understood well. Thank you.